how are we doing today? Marcus Davis, Communications Director of Blueprint 502. And today I am here with Miss Katie Cameron. How you doing, Miss Katie?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We're going to learn about the work you do around here and how important that is and critical to our program. What is your role here at Blueprint 502?
I am the Director of Strategy, Resources, and Compliance.
Could you tell us what that actually means in normal people terms?
Yeah, great question. I get it all the time. So I have 3 parts to my job. So the strategy part of my work is taking a look at new opportunities and making sure that they're aligned with our mission. So for that part of my work, I work really closely with Lynn Rippey, our president and CEO. The resources part of my job really speaks to the grant writing that we do. A lot of our budget is based on grants, so it's really important that we have someone dedicated to that. And then the compliance piece of my work is just making sure that we follow, federal regulations, everything outlined in grant agreements, and sometimes even our own policies, just to make sure we're doing what we said we would do.
Cool. So you're keeping us on track and making sure we're doing things the right way. What would you say the role of grants are here at Blueprint? How important are they to us?
Yeah, grants are critical. They fund all of our programs in some way. Some of our programs are completely grant funded. For example, our Brownfields job training program, right now that's 100% grant funded. So grants really give us the opportunity to maintain our current work, but also explore new opportunities. I would say because of our success in the grant world, that is a big part of why we've had to rebrand, because of grants, we've gone from 1 program to something like 10.
And we say because of grants, but why do we go after those grants?
We make sure that everything we apply for is aligned with our mission. That's really, really important to us. I would say we also go for grants that meet the needs of our young people generally. So if you kind of look at a timeline of how our programs have rolled out, most of our programs are a response to an identified need. In very few circumstances is a new grant program a response to something that we've decided is important for young people. So I'm really proud of that we are actively listening to young people, designing programs, and then finding a way to get them funded.
Yes, and just for an example, like our housing program, we see that youngsters seem to be more homeless or more in that type of situation, so we go after a housing program grant. Would you say that's accurate?
That's 100% accurate. I hear this story all of the time from Miss Lynn that when she first started the Youth Build program more than 20 years ago, she may have seen 1 or 2 homeless young people in a class of 45. But just before COVID, we were starting to see, 30 to 50% of our young people in the Youth Build program experiencing homelessness. And it's really difficult for us to expect a young person to pursue education and job training and leadership development when they don't have that stable place to go at night. So that's a really great example of how we heard from young people what the need was, and we developed a program and found the funding to make it happen. I would say right now we are able to house more than 40 young people a year through our housing grants, primarily through the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and then we're able to case manage more than 80 young people who are at risk or newly out of homelessness.
So what else would you say the rebrand means to your role specifically?
The rebrand is an opportunity for me. Changing our name to Blueprint 502 helps me tell the story about what we do. It gives me space to explain we do 10 different things, including the Youth Build Louisville program, which we love so much. It's also a challenge. My challenge is we've created this really robust system of support for young people, and Now, a big part of my responsibility in that is making sure that we can maintain it, which I always look to grants to help with, since that's historically been a big part of our funding. So I do have some really great funders here locally at the state level and the federal level who always have our back. But I think to keep us going, I need to look for new opportunities. I'm probably going to look more at the corporate world to see if there are folks there that have foundations or potentially sponsorship opportunities to help us help young people get to where they need to be.
Hey, and you might have touched on this next question a bit there at the end of your answer, but what goals might you have moving forward?
Yes, so goal number one is always to hit the grant revenue that we decide during our budget process. I always want to make sure I get to 100% of that every year. And part of what that means for me this year is finding new grant opportunities to support our work. Again, the corporate folks have a big role to play in that, but I'm also hoping that there are new state and federal opportunities. If there are local opportunities, I would love that as well. I would say, though, that our local funders and the local philanthropy that happens in our city is so amazing and powerful that we're already really well connected to those folks.
Cool. And before I let you go, could you give me maybe an example of a moment or a person or an event or something that just stuck out in your head while we're doing the work that you do here?
Yes, there are so many moments that are core memories at this point, I would say. When I come into work every day, I always have an open mind for what the young people can teach me. Because realistically, their lived experiences are so different than my own, and I cannot serve them well if I don't take time to understand what that lived experience looks like. So one of the core memories that was established really early for me was a conversation with a young person. It was actually the first young person that opened up to me about gun violence, which before working at Blueprint 502 was not really something that ever crossed my mind. But in sitting with this young person, they talked about how they had a series of losses that led them to dropping out of school and several other consequences like grief and trauma and even fear of being in certain spaces, which again, those were not concepts that I had any understanding of, but to hear it, to feel it, to be with a young person in that moment of vulnerability, it inspired me to want to do something with it. And for a while, the something I could do about it was listen to more young people share their story. And then about a year ago, Leadership Louisville opened up their Bingham Fellows class of 2024 applications, and the topic was around youth gun violence. And I knew that I had to apply. I had to at least try to get into that class. And I'm really grateful that I did. So all of 2024, I've been working with 41 other professionals in the city to come up with projects that will affect youth gun violence, and I'm really confident that all of the projects will have a big impact.
Well, I just want you to know we're lucky to have you. So is the Bingham Fellows. It's great to get to see you do your work and bring us in so many great fundings for our programs. We just appreciate you so much and keep doing the great work that you do.
Thanks. I really appreciate being here. It really is like a family to me.